KFNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
This is Tanoa Lynn Poirier, and I want to welcome you to Community Conversations on WNN 95.3 FM and 1470 AM. This show is about you. I want to hear your trials and triumphs, challenges and victories, and how you overcome obstacles every day in our dynamic industry. All callers are welcome to join Community Conversations. This is where we'll discuss all things in common. We'll discuss managers, directors, vendors, and owners. Let's elevate the conversation. Raise the bar. Start here, now. Welcome. Welcome in. It's Community Conversations with your host, Tanoa Lynn Poirier. Welcome. Happy Friday. We made it. You did it. Now relax and listen. Today we have a special guest. Our special guest today is Laura Gianfrancesco. Full disclosure, Laura and I are friends off the air. We've known each other for about 9 years this September. This September, we've known each other for almost 9 years. And in her role as my admin, we're going to talk about the subject today, is how people in other industries or people who serve in support roles transition to the big chair, as we call it, into management roles. So I want to welcome Laura. Welcome
Thank you
in.
for having me.
I'm
it's a
so
pleasure.
excited to have you here. So, welcome. Laura has earned her CAM license. She started in a support role as an admin, and actually she was my admin about 9 years ago. She earned and was awarded the designation of Admin of the Year for the company we both worked for at the time. And she is great with clients. You know, people in support roles, administrative or what we call directors of first impressions or receptionists, some people call them, are really the first line of contact in communities, particularly if you have a front desk or answering the phone. And that is kind of the face of the community. When something rises to the level of an issue, then you call on the manager. But really, the support staff develop the relationships. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
You develop the relationships. You kiss all the boo-boos of the people in the community, right? And you help them with their, particularly in Florida, where it's a seasonal community where people come in the winter and leave in the spring. There's a lot of that transition that happens, and you get to know them on a personal level, grandchildren, wives, husbands, children, etc., right?
Correct.
And you build long-lasting relationships as well, and some of those relationships remain today. But what we want to talk about today, Laura, is, and we've talked about this together in our personal time together, is how difficult it is, or how difficult it can be, to go from a support role and just all of the psychological aspects of being in a support role and those relationships that you've developed. Now you're in the big chair, as we call it, and there's a psychological shift, there's a locational shift, and then there's a kind of a personal change that needs to happen. And would you agree that you kind of need to have some time to prepare for that?
Yes, absolutely. I think that ongoing support, I was fortunate enough in my transition where I had the benefit of meeting a lot of great people in the industry, both on-site and off-site and through companies that I've worked for, and who have built friendships and mentors as well. And to have that is so huge, yes, because they can help you prepare for the different challenges that lie ahead and that you may be faced with as a manager, and not having the experience in terms of how to deal and or address and or resolve any of those challenges that you may be faced with. You kind of rely on your mentors and friends and their experience and their suggestions, and kind of incorporate that into what makes you feel comfortable as manager and personally as well.
So what would you say, if you could cite one of your biggest challenges. What was your biggest challenge, and how did that challenge make you feel?
Well, I believe that for me, I had no interim position between admin support and manager. There was no code compliance. There was no assistant property management position. I went from 0 to 60 and overnight. And so there was a little scary. Wasn't sure if I was able to handle it. And again, if you go from that position to a support position to a management position without any kind of preparation, that could be a little overwhelming. And again, I think that for any new CAM who's just recently gotten their license, or anyone transitioning from another career into management, there are so many different, as you aptly call it, soft skills that kind of need to be introduced and adapted, and that really, I think, helps the transition much easier.
And I think she's right. So if there's anyone out there listening and would like to call in, the number is 888-565-1470, 888-565-1470 if you'd like to join us. And Laura and I talked about these soft skills, and people who enter this industry, community association management, from other industries. For example, a real estate person may come and say, well, I'm tired of earning commission-only salary, and I'd like to have, something steady that I can count on, and so I think I'll be a CAM. Well, that's one way to do it. I think the best part about transitioning support staff to the management is that you already know the nuts and bolts of the community management industry, right?
Correct.
So you know that there's an applicable statute that governs behavior, and you are involved in writing a lot of those letters. You understand the level of reporting required. You understand how board meetings work. And so you have an advantage, particularly, I think you have a greater advantage because you come from the administrative side, so you can kind of feed yourself, if you will. And what I mean by that is, if you are placed, as you were, in a community where there is no administrative support, you have strong admin skills, so you can feed yourself. You can depend on yourself. But I think what happens is, and what can be jarring to people who transition from other industries, as I did, is that there are lots of sort of nuances about the community management industry that you are not aware of. So I felt very comfortable with financials and budgeting and sort of managing people. But I started, and my first day, I was given basically the documents and given a set of keys and a golf cart and said, go get them.
Right.
So you have to decide at that time, okay, so I'm not going to get any training right now. How do I make the best decision? And so for me, that was about learning the map of the community, because it was a very large community where we met.
Right.
But one of the things I've been thinking, and we discussed this, when we're out to dinner, just having a good time together, what would help people transitioning from new CAMs to, or from other industries, or even support staff transitioning, after they get their license, a post-licensing set of classes or education would be helpful. Would you agree?
I absolutely agree. Whereby, whether it's through the management company that they are hired, or an outside source such as Gold Coast, which is where a lot of the real estate classes are given.
Indeed.
And then have a schedule of each class, whether it has to do with budgeting or dealing with difficult residents, or the nuances of dealing with a board and or board members and making it a cohesive unit if it's not a cohesive unit.
Right.
So there's so many different nuances.
There are those soft skills as well. So dealing with difficult people, diffusing conflict, understanding that there are different personalities on the board, and we have known, and I think in all of you watching who live in a community association, some of those board relationships can get very
challenging.
They can get very challenging, and they can actually get there's a lot of rivalry there, and they are not always cohesive, and sometimes they end up, with the people wanting to take it outside. It really gets that serious. So, right? We're familiar with that as well.
Yes, we are.
So there are times when the job is very challenging, and we are not going to refer to the famous stickball incident of 2010, which was a moment in sports, which we won't go into here. But there is also conflict when you have someone who is no longer allowed on the property, and so you've got to call the police, right? Or you have someone who's being violent and really sort of in your face, in your grill, and you have to say, okay, there was a person who had a problem. He would tear out his grass because he was unhappy.
Yes, I remember the resident well. Mm-hmm.
So how do you deal with those kinds of issues when you're a new cam and you haven't dealt with them before? So maybe a role playing.
Absolutely, role playing I think is key. It absolutely, and again, because when you're new to the industry for whatever the reason, you really are not experienced or have had the experience to deal with those types of people, board members, residents, vendors, whomever.
Exactly.
You role play on certain situations that the instructor has had experience with,
right.
And it makes it a whole lot easier to kind of draw upon.
So I think what I'm hearing you say is that when you're not prepared, it's overwhelming, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And also it's overwhelming because you want to make a good impression. You've gotten this job, now you have the license, and that feels really good because you've earned it, right? That feels really good, and you want to do a good job. So you need the support of your management company, or you need the support of your board if you are hired on to a self-managed association. And then when you feel like you are maybe not prepared, then there are a couple of things that happen. There, as we've talked about this, you have analysis paralysis, right? And that, again, is when you are afraid to make an action because you're afraid you won't get it right or you're going to get in trouble. And then you don't act, and then you get it wrong and you get in trouble. Right. so it's a self-fulfilling deal.
Yes, exactly.
And so that's one of the things that I would like to help, and we're actually developing a program to do some post-licensing education. And there's also, if you've never dealt with a budget, and there are board members who are not in town and they're counting on you to get this ball rolling, that can be very daunting and overwhelming. Would you agree?
Yes, absolutely.
It's a little scary, and you have to make sure you get it right. And then they're depending on you for understanding the statutes. They may or may not read their documents. I know that never happens. That's only happened to me. So everyone else's board reads their documents. I'm certain of that. But you are dealing with people, and I say that all the time. Everything we do is for people. So rules are to govern people's behavior. We're there for this health, safety, and welfare of people. And really, at the end of the day, it's about people and relationships. Yes.
Yes.
And so, if we can keep that in mind, we want to make sure that managers entering this industry are as prepared as they can be. And that is, yes, starting in a support role is really helpful. But if you're transitioning from a company where you were in a for-profit enterprise, you come in a not-for-profit and you see that the balance sheet looks a little healthy, and we're like, no, you cannot make a profit. We don't make a profit. We start with a zero-based budget, right? And you cannot make a profit. So what I think we're advocating here, and one of the things that I think we're on the same page with, is that some post-licensing classes, education, encouragement, role-playing, preparation needs to happen.
Agreed.
In order to prepare people to meet the challenges in a way that maintains a professionalism and or raises the bar.
I totally agree with you. I just feel that they will be then better prepared and have it similar to that as, like we're licensed, and every 2 years we have to do our legal updates and other classes and in order to maintain our license. And I think those classes should be offered, the post-licensing camp, throughout the year, and just have the availability to those CAMs that are having difficulty in one area or another, have the availability for them to take advantage of those classes so that they can become more successful.
I agree. Do you, and I'll just say what I feel the continuing ed classes offer me is not as many soft skills. They teach me about the law
Correct.
and legal changes.
Yes.
They teach me about sort of maintenance. There are a few HR components which give you some idea of how to manage people. But everything you learn in a book has to be applied in real life, right? So all of those things are great, and it's mandatory, and we're supposed to know those things. But after you get your license, you're like, okay, I got it.
Now what?
Now what? Right? Exactly. So now what? So yes, you have this thing, this certificate, this license that you earned, and you understand the statutes and how it relates, and that what you're allowed to do and what you are not allowed to do. But does that prepare you for the first day at your job?
Absolutely not, because it's all about the people.
Right.
So you have no clue when a resident comes in and says it's all your fault and starts calling you names and threatening you and whatever because their barcode doesn't work.
Right.
And how am I a such and such
Right.
name?
Yes.
Because your barcode doesn't work. So it's those kind of challenges that most people that are not in this industry don't have to deal with or respond to.
Well, that reminds me of something that I did want to bring up, and that is how much abuse do you take, right? How much abuse should I put up with before I wave the white flag? And one of the things, and I think I wrote, I coined a term over the last year called the Palladium Rule. So we all know what the Golden Rule is, right? Basically, do unto others as you have them do unto you. And then there was another rule, I think it was called the Platinum Rule, and it went something like treat people the way they expect to be treated, depending on their station, if you will. And then the Palladium Rule for me is treat people the way you want your family or loved ones to be treated. Because you are not taking any abuse for your family, right? How quickly do you jump to their defense if there is an issue? You'll take a lot of abuse and you're like, okay, yeah, I'm a jerk. I don't know anything. No, I know that. Yes, you, and we hear this every day. I pay your salary. Yes, you pay my salary. No, yes, I'm the worst property manager in the world. And
it's all my fault.
And it's all my fault, right? it's always all my fault.
Your entire life is horrible because of me.
Yes. But if somebody says that to your family, well, you're jumping ugly, right? It's not, it's on. So I think game on, right? So I think that the Palladium Rule, if we just imagine that we're dealing with someone's mom, husband, child, friend, that we'll be maybe a little kinder, imagining that those people are dealing with our spouse, loved one, friend, child, etc. And that may be a different way of looking at dealing with difficult people. Another thing that, and this, I think you've seen this work, is that when somebody is really upset and they are shouting and spitting and the vein in the forehead's coming out, right?
Cyclops.
Right. That if you just calibrate your voice and you control your breathing while they're spitting and screaming, that they will actually slow their voice and lower their voice. That works, does it not?
It does.
It absolutely.
And it's taken me some time to hone that skill. My background and where I come from, it was always the kind of, you want to react. And in this industry, obviously, we can't do that.
Laura's from New York, in case you didn't.
Yes, an Italian. So yeah, I'm guilty as charged. So I think that if you really just, as they're apoplectic for whatever the reason,
Absolutely.
If you could just kind of not internalize it,
right,
and say, okay.
And not take it personally.
Right, and let them just kind of get it out. Okay, are you finished? May I respond?
And respond.
And then they say, oh, okay.
Right.
You know, you kind of diffuse the issue.
It takes a while to diffuse. But if you meet that energy with equal energy, it escalates. Am I right?
It's going to escalate and blow up in everybody's face. And
So
nothing gets resolved.
That's a free tip for you. No charge for that.
Right.
Calibrate, don't escalate is one of the tips I give. And it actually works. So the next time you are involved in kind of a heated argument, if you will just lower your voice, slow your pace of speaking, and slow your breathing, it really does work.
I think that kind of
It centers you, right?
Yes, it centers you. And I think that when they're in the middle of their spewing, and they see that it kind of rubs off on that person as well, saying, oh, okay.
Maybe I don't need to be quite this crazy.
Right, and it's not as bad, and nobody's dead, and we're okay, and it's going to be fine.
I agree. So those are the kinds of things that you learn over time. Would you agree? That as a new manager, you just want to be perfect, and you just, if everything's not perfect, you feel like you're failing, then you feel overwhelmed. And then if you're also overburdened with work, then you start to doubt yourself.
Oh, it's full of self-doubt. You're completely overwhelmed. You start questioning your abilities, your inabilities, your capabilities. It absolutely can be completely overwhelming. And I think the post-licensing courses will really assist and reaffirm the manager's abilities, and that they are competent and not as crazy as they think they are.
What would you say is how important a mentor relationship is in this industry? How vital that is?
Well, you are my mentor and have been for a long time. Woohoo! And
honored to be.
And I'm fortunate enough to have a few others as well.
Indeed.
And it is totally vital. You have talked me off the ledge more than once, as well as other mentors. So I think it's to just kind of, again, we were saying, center, you have a way of just, okay, it's okay. And then that kind of rubs off on me. It's like, okay, it is going to be okay. Because when you get that overwhelmed, for me, I lose the ability to think clearly, and your thoughts just kind of spin out of control. So if you have someone to literally or figuratively kind of grab you by the shoulders and say, it's okay, let's revisit this, let's talk it out, and it's like, oh, okay, I feel better now.
Or you have somebody to say, nobody could do that. So what you're saying, well, I can't do this, and there must be something wrong with me, and how come I can do it? Nobody could do that. And I'm just going to say, I'm pretty good at this industry, right? I'm pretty good at this management
stuff.
And I would say, I couldn't do what you're being asked to do. So I don't, you have some superpowers, you're a total rock star, but you can't
always do it on your own.
You cannot always do it on your own. You need support. And you also need to know that there are limitations. So
that's the benefit. I'm sorry. That's the benefit of having a mentor such as yourself, who is very knowledgeable and has had the experience, as much experience as you had. So I was able to learn from that. Without the benefit of you as a mentor and others as a mentor, I may have walked away from the industry a while ago.
It would be a lot harder, wouldn't it?
It absolutely would be.
I agree. So she's absolutely correct. Laura is absolutely correct in that relationships in the industry, if you're not a mentor, be a mentor. If you need a mentor, find a mentor. And then once you are firm in your sea legs are kind of set, then be a mentor for somebody else. I think that may be one of the things that is missing in self-managed communities, because they don't have the benefit of a management company. Mm-hmm. And so you can't shoot an email over to somebody, hey, I need help with X, Y, and Z. That's another reason why we probably need to reach out a little bit more with networking and this kinds of post-licensing classes, or just mentoring programs to help people through it. Because I will tell you that they are very much alone. It's just them and a staff, if they're lucky, and a board of directors, and they're very isolated. So things come across new rules, new ways of doing things, new technologies. For example, in Florida, there is a fire sprinkler rule. There's a life safety systems. There is a lot of things coming down the pike. But a lot of that information comes from a larger networking group. Would you agree?
Yes.
And that if you're isolated, that you don't have the benefit of being able to have those conversations. And then I think that you're maybe not serving your board as well as you could, because you don't have access to that information.
And not just being isolated, but also being new to the industry. So you haven't had the opportunity yet to forge the relationships or get on board with a mentor, mentors, or build enough of a network in terms of colleagues that you've worked with over the years.
Right.
So you don't have the benefit of their experience and knowledge.
So I think the best thing that we want to just relay to you today, and I would say, is seek out other people when you're in trouble. Find a
Always.
mentor or be a mentor. You are not alone. If you're thinking that this is really hard, and it's hard work, you know that. I know that's hard work. It is sometimes not very rewarding in terms of getting rewards from other people. Your good job and doing the best you can every day kind of has to be your own reward. Get together with somebody who can affirm you and what you're doing and let you know, no, you're on the right track. No, nobody could do that. Or here's how you could do that better. Or in this situation, here's what I would do, right? Find a mentor, and then let's talk about how we find solutions to problems. Last week, I said, let's not complain about something if we're not prepared to find a solution to
Absolutely.
it, right? It just doesn't make sense, because then we're just
It's counterproductive.
complaining all the time, and we're not actually accomplishing anything. So I think for this show, transitioning from support staff to the manager or the big chair is probably the best way to get them into management. But if you're coming from other industries, just make sure that you connect with somebody, Community Association Institute or local chapters in your area, and find a mentor and be a mentor and be a blessing to somebody today. I'm so happy that Laura joined me today. Thank you, Laura.
And you are my blessing.
Oh,
Thank you for having
Thank
me.
you very much. It was fun.
It was.
And I'm going to try to convince her to come back. Thank you for joining us. Have a great weekend. We'll see you here next time for another great show. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
You have been listening to Community Conversations with Tanoa Lynn Poirier. It is my honor to host this program, and I appreciate you listening. We have an exciting show planned for you next week, so mark your calendars and join me every Friday at 5 p.m. on WNN 95.3 FM and 1470 AM. We look forward to hearing from you, our listeners. It's all about learning, sharing, and teaching. We're all in this together. Until next time, be a blessing to someone and endeavor to persevere.
TV, the first and only internet television network that's truly plugged in. 866-224-5422. That's AMP2.TV. The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Concierge Men's Wellness Show, specializing in solving men's sexual problems from PE to ED and low testosterone. Concierge explains and educates the void of understanding and allows men and their partners to improve their love life with all the sexual challenges today's man faces in everyday life. Call us at 954-513-4646 or visit our website at www.conciergemens.com to get answers quickly and discreetly. If you have any questions about today's show, give us a call at 888-565-1470 and become part of the educational process.
Hello, sunny South Florida, and welcome to the Concierge Men's Wellness Program. This is my second week in a row hosting you guys, and I want to start off by just thanking you for letting me be on your airwaves and giving me a listen. Last week I was able to just, tell you a little bit about us, about what we do, just a little bit, and we gave you some tips. And Dr. Koba, our great Dr. Koba, called in and backed up a few of those tips, gave you some more great advice, us guys, on how we can help ourselves stay in a state of wellness with vigor and vitality, pretty much feel good about ourselves. And very importantly, you'll have a good and healthy sex life. Because that's one of the things that, gets me going. And if most of you guys out there are like me, a good, healthy sex life is very important in our lives. It kind of makes us feel who we are. It makes us feel good about ourselves, and it feels good itself. There's a lot of physiobiological things that are going on that Dr. Koba is much better explaining than I am. But, it makes our bodies physically feel good by releasing endorphins from our brains and such, and emotionally feel good, knowing that there's someone out there that can reciprocate that sort of touch and sensuality with us. So sex is very important to us men, as it is to the women out there. So keep in mind, for you guys out there that have women partners, they're also need sex in their lives, and they're hoping that you can give it to them. No matter who your partner is out there, a relationship is very, it's very tedious to maintain, and one of those things to help keep it going is a great active sexual relationship. And for us guys out there that may have some difficulty in that category at this time, or maybe have had some difficulty for a long time, there's a lot of things that you can do to help yourself, to help either maintain a healthy sex life or regain that healthy sex life. And a lot of that, it ties into our bodies and our sense of well-being. And I'm going to touch on a little bit more in detail of what we touched on last week. I think I used the term hacks. Hacks is really big in our culture right now. Everything from computer hacking to account hacking, bank account hacking. And now on the internet, you see all these crazy hacks. They call them toothbrush hacks, Coke bottle hacks. I found some stuff on the internet from a website, and they said it was pretty interesting. They called it body hacks, and we're going to go a little bit more in depth into what they call 9 body hacks to naturally increase testosterone. So, guys, these are things that that I myself started kind of listening to, kind of practicing, working into my daily routines, and maybe you guys can benefit from some of these 9 body hacks as well. So pretty much, we're talking about increasing testosterone. You all have heard this. You've heard the commercials on the radio and on TV for supplements to boost your free testosterone and feel like the man you used to feel again. And, that's all true. There's a way that we can boost our testosterone. It will help us feel like that man we used to feel like again. It'll increase our energy levels. It will increase our libido. 2 very important things that go hand in hand as well. But it also has some physical effects as far as it'll help decrease your body fat and increase muscle mass, and all those things work together to help increase your confidence. So it's important. And I know I found it important when I started feeling some of those symptoms, and I started looking to change some of the things that I was doing to increase my testosterone so that I can feel energetic again and have that libido and be able to execute on that libido, if you know what I mean. So we're going to go through some of these 9 things, and I've talked about them somewhat, and you've heard all of these before. Lose weight, number one at the list that I found on the internet here from, it's called Fitness Peak, presented by Mercola. You have to give credit to where I found the source, but it directly relates. These are all things that I speak to Dr. Koba about on a daily basis as I seek him for guidance to help maintain my healthy lifestyle, or try to be a healthy lifestyle. Lose weight. I'm not going to go too much into detail. I touched base on some of this last week, and you hear it all the time. I was going to say sugar. It's so important about cutting out sugar. Sugar has so many direct, connections. But another one is high intensity exercise. He mentions high intensity exercise. Not just exercise, but high intensity. It does seem that high intensity exercises will directly help increase your body's testosterone, has a more direct impact on your hormone levels than, let's say, a long period aerobic exercise, like a long jog or something like that. Zinc is very important. You want to consume plenty of zinc. Zinc is a mineral that's very important in testosterone production. Optimize your vitamin D levels. I'm going through these kind of quickly because, again, we've mentioned these before. You've heard them before. But take note. These are all good, important things to help yourself on a daily basis to maintain your testosterone levels. So optimize your vitamin D levels. You notice this is optimize. I didn't say overdo it. Optimize it. And best source for figuring out information on where your vitamin D levels are at is, of course, your doctor. If you have a primary physician, check on with him. If you're feeling these symptoms, tell your doctor, hey, I'm feeling this. Is it low T? Where are my vitamin D levels? Can we check all these 9 things that I heard Adriel talk about in the Concierge Men's Wellness Program? Where's my vitamin D levels? Where's my zinc levels? That's number 5. Number 6 is reduce stress. That's a difficult one. I know that. I've attempted to reduce stress, and I think maybe in some aspects of my life I was able to reduce stress, but let's face it, guys, in this day and modern age, there's stress all around us. But whatever you can do to help reduce some of the unnecessary stress in your life, try to do that. Stress directly, it will affect your testosterone. I was going through some major stress a few years ago when I was going through my divorce, as you divorced guys out there can testify to that. And I must say, though, I got through it. And once I got through it, those testosterone levels came up, along with some of these other 9 things that I happen to be doing. One of those other ones that I did was limit or eliminate sugar from my diet, as I mentioned in the diet part. Redundant, but that shows how important sugar is. Eat healthy fats. Healthy fats are important, not unhealthy fats like that fried elephant ear at the fair, but healthy fats like an almond nut, and good animal meats and lean fats like that. That will help increase your testosterone levels. And how much healthy fats should you be eating? Where should you be getting them from? Again, everyone is different. Best source for that is your primary care physician. I turn to Dr. Koba. He's just a wealth of knowledge and information, and he's really been a really key factor in guiding me through some of my healthy living choices. And I'm going to go through some more healthy fats. I've got an easy list to read out to you. Some more olives and olive oils. So, it says olive oil is not vegetable oil. Coconuts and coconut oil. Butter made from raw grass-fed organic milk. Raw nuts such as almonds and pecans. Organic pasteurized egg yolks. I notice it says organic. They're expensive and hard to get, but organic pasteurized egg yolks. Avocados, which we're in season right now, and they're delicious. Thanks, Grandma. I love the avocados from your tree. Grass-fed meats. Notice it says grass-fed. I do cough up the extra money for some organic and grass-fed meat. Palm oil. Okay, I can't say I include that in my diet. Unheated organic nut oils. You kind of get the gist of that, right? Some good raw oils from nuts. Good, lean, healthy meats, organic. So kind of that'll help you guide some of your dietary needs there. Boost your intake of branched-chain amino acids, BCAA, from foods like whey protein. So those are 9 quick body hacks to naturally increase your body's testosterone. I'm not going to go too much into detail into that last one. I myself use protein powders and shakes. There's so many out there. It's depending what you prefer. I've got my specific ones. So I hope some of that information helps you out. Got some more stuff, but right now I want to give out the call-in phone number. Anyone out there listening, got some questions, want me to get a little bit more in detail on this, have a question for the doctor, I have Dr. Koba. Hopefully he'll be able to call in the next few minutes. But the number to call is 888-565-1470. That's the number right now. They'll put you through to me. Ask me a question, some information. I'll give you some information. Also want to give thanks to 94.3, which you're listening to right now on the FM, or 1470 AM, and AMP2 TV Productions. Check us out on AMP2 TV Productions on Facebook. You can see this live right now on the Facebook Live feed. If you don't know what that is, ask your kids. They know what it is. So, again, this is the Concierge Men's Wellness Program. I want to tell you a little bit about the Concierge Men's Wellness Clinic. We are in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Lauderdale Lakes, Florida to be exact. The address is 4800 North State Road 7, Suite F103. We're located just a little bit south of the of 441 on Commercial, and the phone number is 888-513. 954-513-4646. That's 954-513-4646. I've got a caller calling in right now. His name's John. John, thanks for calling into the Concierge Men's Wellness Program. So you got a question?
Yeah, sure. I got a couple questions.
A couple. Let's start with one.
Well, first of all, I'm in my mid-40s now, and I've noticed I've been slowing down quite a bit. I can't do what I used to be able to do, not only in the gym, but in the bedroom as well, if you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. A lot of guys out there know what you mean, John. You sound a little embarrassed. No need to be embarrassed. Do you have a doctor? Did you speak to your doctor about these?
Well, I go to my primary care physician, and he doesn't really give me a lot of information. He just tells me it's a normal part of aging, tighten up the diet, hit the gym a little more often, cut back on the beer, and, things should get gradually get better if I'm consistent at it.
How did you take it when he said cut back on the beer? Was that hard to take?
Well, it was at first, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I love to unwind in front of the TV watching ESPN and, watching my football or basketball and, have a couple of cold ones after a stressful day at work.
Yeah, I know what you mean. It's a stressful day at work, great way to sit back and relax and unwind with a cold one. So it's kind of hard to cut back what you like. But you sound like you took that and you took a step. So you sound like you're a person that really wants to get some of his old self back. Does that sound right?
Yeah, absolutely. I just, I see some guys, and I know some guys are on some stuff, but I want to make sure it's safe. Whatever I do, I want to make sure it's safe because I don't want to wind up having cancer in 10 years or, I'm having other types of medical ailments.
Safe is important. That's why when we talk about Concierge Men's Wellness and we say that our program is safe, effective, and affordable, that's why safe is the first word in what I say. Safe is very important.
I've actually heard about you guys before. I haven't gotten around to coming in to seeing a specialist or anything, but, I actually hear you guys a lot on the radio on 790, The Ticket, as I'm driving into work, and, it sounds great, and now that I have you on the phone, I guess I can get some more particulars.
Well, I want to just maybe answer a couple questions for you over the phone that'll help the audience as well, and then before we finish, I'll be sure to give you our phone number to call in, and so we can answer more questions there as far as the particulars of our program and our clinic. But there's one thing I want to say about what your doctor said that I want to tell you not to accept it. And tell the audience not to accept it. I believe you told me that your doctor said it's a normal part of aging, and you're in your mid-40s. Is that correct? Did I hear you right?
That is right.
I would hate to think it's a normal part of aging, and that being that I'm also in my 40s, that I should expect to feel slow and lethargic and not be able to please my partner or feel the urge or desire to want my partner. I feel that in our mid-40s, we're still young and have a lot of life ahead of us. And for me, that human contact is life. And without it, and without feeling the energy to go through it, would suck. I don't know. Do you feel that way, John?
Sure. Yeah, there's many a times, I feel that way. I mean, it's just sometimes, my wife might be in the mood, maybe I'm not. Sometimes, I have to, kind of motivate myself a little bit to, get in the mood. I just don't have that perk, that desire, that energy sometimes.
I hear you. And like we've touched on a bit, and your doctor's probably touched on with you, and you've heard, there's a lot of factors that can lead to what you're feeling. Whether it's just ED or PE, erectile dysfunction or premature ejaculation. In your case, not being able to achieve an erection would definitely hinder your lovemaking ability and your relationship in general. And then that psychologically would stress you out to the point where even if physically you were capable, psychologically it may mess with your head where you're not able to gain an erection. So there's this psychological and biological interaction that's going on that causes this amongst all us men. And then the biological side of things, where a lot of basic family practitioner doctors write it off saying, it's just a part of aging, is the low testosterone part, that as we age, our testosterone is just naturally going to decrease. My grandfather and great-grandfather would probably call BS on that. I've seen pictures of them in their 70s chopping wood and stuff like that. And I've heard stories of them in their 60s. In Spanish, we have a word called bellaco, which means horny. And they're in their 60s feeling bellaco. And they're in their 60s. There was something different about the way that they lived that allowed our grandfathers and great-grandfathers to maintain this higher energy levels and higher libidos, which most likely meant they had higher testosterone levels. And I think, and I agree with this website, this fitness, Peak Fitness, along with my Dr. Koba at Concierge Men's Wellness, that we shouldn't accept this. Like I mentioned yesterday, and when Doctor called in, that it becomes like a kind of a consequence of our lifestyle and our life phases or stages. As as we go through these different stages in your life. Like you mentioned, you're in your 40s. You have a family, children, and married, right, John?
Yep, that's true.
So I'm guessing
2
that
boys.
top priority for you is work to be able to put food on their table.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so there's your priority number one, and you know what? It would be my priority number one as well. Now, that's probably taking away some of your time. You mentioned that you had a hard time at the gym lately. You're not going to it as much probably, or you're not be able to get your full workout out of it. You probably don't have as much time for the gym as you used to, right?
Exactly. I got to fit in where I can.
Yeah, so in college, you were probably banging it out, what, an hour and a half, 2 hours a day, 5 days a week in the gym?
At least.
Like a beast?
At least. Yep.
All right. And now
I don't have the strength or the stamina that I used to.
Yeah. And you know, that's a lot of us. So you're not alone. And if your doctor hasn't done like a low testosterone count on it, and if he does, you know, that would be like one of the first things that I did when I started feeling, you know, slow and lethargic and my libido was lackluster. First thing I did was a T count. And, you know, as I mentioned, it was low. And my doctor, you know, luckily he didn't say just accept it, but he did kind of go the quick route of prescribing me some testosterone, which I did not use.
Okay.
And,
yeah,
you know, you mentioned earlier
about that.
Yeah, and you mentioned earlier safe. And I'm glad you mentioned that because along to these 9 body hacks of naturally increasing your testosterone, which I hope you wrote down. And if you did not, it's okay, John. I'm going to put it on our Facebook page at Concierge Men's Wellness. Look it up, like us, follow us on Facebook. I'm going to put these up tonight. You'll be able to check them out, and they're always there for you to use. But these are 9 things that, you know, pick like 4 of these tonight.
Okay.
And then start it tomorrow and see how you feel. And, you know,
Sounds
check with
good.
your doctor or find maybe a doctor that specializes in men's wellness and talk to them about maybe, you know, starting with a blood test, blood count, or just telling them how you're feeling. Get tested for low testosterone and see where you land. And then regarding the safety about putting things in your body, don't just accept a direct testosterone replacement as the only treatment option for you. Ask about other treatment options beyond things like these natural ways to increase them. There are other ways to treat hormone. There's other hormone therapies, in other words, instead of just injecting a synthetic testosterone into your body. And, you know, we can, at Concierge Men Wellness and on our website and on our Facebook page, you'll find more information about this. But of course, Dr. Koba is the well of knowledge that if you call at 954-513-4646, you can call him and he'll be able to answer some basic questions for you, John. But there's things out there like that will help your body produce its own testosterone, which is what I wanted to do because I didn't want my body to just stop producing its own testosterone. I like my body working the way it's supposed to. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so you want to. It's really about having that conversation. Have you had that conversation with your doctor? Did you get into testosterone options?
No, to be honest with you, he really wasn't too informative, you know, but like I said, I have heard the advertisements on the radio, and I don't know what's holding me back, but now that after I've had this conversation with you, I think I'm definitely going to at least come in and sit down with Dr. Kobe. He sounds like a very nice, knowledgeable person, and I'm going to check this out. I'm going to do something about it. I'm tired of just sitting down and waiting for something to happen. I think I'm ready. Finally, I'm not going to procrastinate anymore. I'm going forward.
Yeah, check it out. It's all about information. It never hurts to get more information. You know,
absolutely.
Call Dr. Koba at 954-513-4646. Call another doctor also. It doesn't hurt. Get a couple, you know, and that's why we're so open. And you want someone that's going to be open and, you know, do a little bit of research on the internet, but don't inundate yourself. Most important thing is get to a doctor, do the blood test, get their feedback on it. Everyone's different. You know, not everything's going to work for everyone. You know, at Concierge Men's Wellness, we have the hormone therapy. We also deal with erectile dysfunction and premature ejaculation.
Super. Awesome.
And we do some vitamin treatments. Maybe it's just a vitamin deficiency. That might be all that you have. Maybe you just need a little boost with some vitamin B12 and a little bit of vitamin D. We've got some really great, cool things with some vitamin cocktail treatments. We'll set you up in a lounge, in a chair, hook you up to an IV. You leave there feeling like Superman. Our doctor likes to say that a lot of the patients come in like a wounded warrior, and they leave like a Superman. I'm actually going to try one of those IV treatments next week, John. Are you going to try that with me?
I'd love to check it out. Absolutely.
Give us a call. Maybe we can set you up. Maybe we can treat you. Maybe we can treat you.
Thank you for taking the time to talk to me as well.
Certainly, John. Thank you. And if you have any other questions, specific questions, call 954-513-4646. We're open Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Check out our website, conciergemens.com. We've got some great information there. You can also make your appointment right from that website as well. And then our Facebook page. Just go on Facebook and do your search for Concierge Men's Wellness. Like us and follow us. Are you a football fan, John?
Oh, absolutely.
I will definitely get on that
football.
Facebook page. I think by next month, you're going to be seeing some really cool stuff tied in with football. And maybe we'll give some Facebook fans an opportunity to join in a fantasy football league. So look forward to that. But you got to follow us on Facebook to be in all that cool stuff that we're going to be doing, and to get all that great information that we're going to give you guys. About how you can help yourselves feel like the you that you want to feel like, the you that you remember. Feel like the way we're supposed to feel, like men, full of energy, full of life, full of libido. But thanks for calling, John. I really appreciate it. Tell your friends about us. Tell your friends about the show, and to call in next Friday. We'll do this again from 6:30 to 6 p.m. Or from 5:30 p.m. till 6 p.m. here on 95.3 FM and 104.70 AM. And of course, check it out, the Facebook live stream on AMP2 TV Productions. And I want to go ahead and tell you guys a little bit more about Concierge Men's Wellness. We do bring this show, the Concierge Men's Wellness Program, and every week we're going to bring some really good information to you guys. We touched a little bit about those 9 body hacks to increase testosterone, and John called in about some very important questions about safe testosterone treatment options. And we'll go into that a little bit more as well next week. But that is very important to look into, safe treatments. Before you go into a straight testosterone replacement treatment, I'm not saying that that's not right. It might be the right treatment for someone. It wasn't for me. I opted different route. And if I ever need to look into testosterone treatments again, I will look at all the options, including the testosterone replacement, but including other options that I have since learned about. Options that will help my body work the way it was intended to work more naturally. It's important to monitor your hormones if you are on a testosterone treatment program. You don't want your testosterone and estrogen levels to go completely unbalanced and wacko. Some people tend to get the idea confused that estrogen is bad. No, we actually need some estrogen in our bodies. We need healthy estrogen levels for a healthy libido, as well as a healthy testosterone level. And if one goes too low, one can get too high. If one gets too high, one can get too low, or all kinds of different things happen there. But your doctor, your primary doctor, or Dr. Koba at Concierge Men's Wellness is the best source of information for all these sort of things. You can always get started on the internet, on websites like ours at Concierge Men's Wellness. conciergemens.com, or websites like the one that I found this information on. And information is key. Information is knowledge, and that's why we're going to be here weekly, giving you information so that you guys can feel like the guys that you're meant to feel. And have good, healthy sexual relationships with your partners, feel good and confident about yourselves, and just enjoy life. No matter what your lifestyle is, you want to be able to live it to the fullest and full of energy. That's what I strive for in life. That's what Dr. Koba strives for in life, and that's what we strive for our patients at Concierge Men's Wellness. We are an easy facility to work with, easy clinic. We're discreet, confidential, which I know is very important for us guys when dealing with sometimes sensitive subjects like ED, erectile dysfunction, or PE, premature ejaculation, or even low testosterone. It somehow makes us feel like it undermines our manhood. Well, it doesn't. You're not alone. About 50% of men over 50 have erectile dysfunction. Don't be one of those millions that are just sitting there letting the time waste away and not getting help for it and letting another year go by without having that healthy sex life that you know you're craving for. You see it on TV and you see it around you and you say, damn it, I wish I had that. But you're too embarrassed to chase it. Don't be embarrassed anymore. You're not alone. Call 954-513-4646. Check out conciergemens.com. Make an appointment today with Dr. Koba. The consultation is free. Or see your doctor today. Either way, get help. Don't waste your time. Again, thank you to 95.3 FM, 1470 AM, which is where you're listening to me right now, and AMP2 TV Productions. Check them out on AMP2 TV Productions on Facebook, and you can see the Facebook live stream every week. Thanks again, guys. Peace out.
You have been listening to the Concierge Men's Wellness Show, making men feel great again and making their mates smile. Call us at 954-513-4646 and let us specialize in making you and your mate happy.